Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Consumer Protection and Government Services. Does the Honorable Minister have an opening statement?
I do.
The Honorable Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today to discuss Budget 2023, one of the best budgets ever, as it pertains in particular to the Department of Consumer Protection and Government Services. I'll also note that I, as a minister, this is my first time through this Committee of Supply process, so I hope everyone will be reasonably patient with me and accommodating. But I believe my opposition critic might be in the same boat. And so the two of us rookies together, we're gonna get through this together. I should just say what my department is responsible for. It's quite a few different things. I've got the modernization of government services such as procurement, information technology, digital government. It's the management of the government's vertical and underground capital infrastructure through capital planning, project delivery, and asset management, building things like schools. It's supporting and protecting the interests of Manitoba consumers, citizens, businesses, landlords, and tenants through consumer protection, residential tenancies commission, etc. And all the department has 5 divisions: capital planning and project delivery, asset management, digital and technology solutions, consumer protection, and procurement and supply chain. The Capital and Project Delivery Division is responsible for negotiating bilateral capital funding agreements, developing and maintaining a multi-year capital infrastructure plan, delivery and project management. The division's goals are to ensure efficient expenditure of capital allocations on approved projects, consistently apply risk management to capital funding and projects, improve asset management for all government assets, and provide real estate services to government and oversee real estate and property asset disposal. The Asset Management Division is responsible for the safe and efficient operations of all CPGS-owned and operated buildings to support reliable delivery of government services and programs across Manitoba. They also provide insurance and risk and real estate services to government, including overseeing leases and property disposal and acquisition. The Digital and Technology Solutions, DTS, division is Manitoba's central organization responsible for information and communications technology, and as someone with a background in IT, I especially appreciate having this in my portfolio. That includes cybersecurity as well. It also includes the business transformation strategy, policy and service delivery for the government of Manitoba, and strategic leadership to continuously improve the Manitoba government's ICT environment through planning and implementing solutions to meet current and future ICT needs. The Consumer Protection Division administers consumer protection legislation, investigates and facilitates dispute resolution between consumers and businesses and tenants and landlords. The division also provides oversight over public utilities and designated organizations related to approving rates, overseeing land titles and personal property registries, and issuing a variety of foundational certificates including births, marriages, name changes, and deaths through vital statistics. The Procurement and Supply Chain Division, PSC, sets the strategic direction, policies, and processes for procurement and supply chain related functions across government. PSC also provides strategic procurement services and coordinates procurement across Manitoba government departments, agencies, and the broader public sector. The division includes 2 special operating agencies, or SOAs. The Materials Distribution Agency, MDA, provides mail and materials distribution services to the public sector, and the Vehicle and Equipment Management Agency, or VEMA, which provides competitive, comprehensive fleet and equipment management services to public sector organizations in Manitoba, including provincial departments, agencies, and crown corporations. The Central Capital Program areas seek to ensure predictability of the government's commitment to annual strategic infrastructure investments and expediting capital project planning and delivery through innovative project delivery approaches, including design, build, and P3s. The department is also working with federal and municipal partners to deliver funding for worthy infrastructure projects with the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, or ICIP, as well as future bi- or trilateral programs. The department provides strategic leadership to continuously improve the Manitoba government's ICT environment through planning and implementing solutions to meet current and future ICT needs. And as part of its mandate, the department will continue to its best efforts its efforts to best utilize taxpayer dollars and work with stakeholders to expand Manitoba's procurement strategy across the public sector. Consumer protection supports and protects the interests of Manitoba consumers, citizens, business people, landlords, and tenants. And we also increase value for Manitoba by investing and maximizing the value of owned assets, including working closely with the Legislative Assembly to restore the legislative building grounds around the Legislature and Government House. And if I may say, I'd love to see some air conditioning in this particular room sometime soon. I will do my best to get that done. And also, we obtain best value for Manitoba by modernizing procurement policies, standardizing procurement, planning purchases across government, and sourcing products and services through a category management approach. That should be a quick summary of what happens in my department. It is quite a lengthy list, as I believe I was addressing a French crowd the other day, and described my title and various my full title, my complete title, and all its various accoutrements, and said it was a sacré bouche full. And so concludes my remarks.
We thank the minister for those comments. Does the critic from the official opposition have an opening statement? The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to you and Minister and all the members and the staff from Consumer Protection and Government Services. Really looking forward to the answers from the minister regarding P3, vital stats, residential tenancy branch, rural broadband, and right to repair, and many more questions. Yeah, thank you very much.
We thank the member for those comments. Under Manitoba practice, debate on the minister's salary is the last item considered for a department in the Committee of Supply. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 8.1 brackets A contained in Resolution 8.1. At this time, we invite the minister's staff to join us at the table, and we ask that the minister introduce the staff in attendance. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce some members of my team. Immediately to my left, we have Joseph, or Joe Dunford, who is the Deputy Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services, recently arrived on these shores from out east. Across from him is Catherine Durkin-Chudd, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Consumer Protection. And next to the deputy is Anne Liebfried, the Acting Assistant Deputy Minister and Chief Financial Officer. And then against the wall is the most famous member of my entourage. You all know her, although you may not know what she looks like, for her signature appears in every elevator in all of Winnipeg. Cheryl Lasik, the Acting Assistant Deputy Minister, Capital Projects, Planning and Delivery.
According to our Rule 78, bracket 16, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put separately on all resolutions once the official critic indicates that questioning has concluded. The floor is now open for questions. The Honourable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can the minister undertake to give a list of all technical appointment in his department, including name and titles?
officers.
The Honorable Minister?
Sorry, just a clarification, all technical appointments. All right.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank the member for the question. The one technical officer that I neglected to actually introduce, as my line of sight went straight through my assistant deputy minister, and so pardon my neglect for that in the first response. I have with me Kyle Reindeers, who's chief of staff, otherwise known as a special assistant, and he is in fact one of the technical officers in Consumer Protection and Government Services. The other is perhaps a familiar name as well, Robert Gabor, who is the chairperson of the Public Utilities Board.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Can the minister undertake to give an organizational chart that lists all employees and program areas?
That's all I answered.
The Honorable Minister.
All right, I thank the member for the question. I do have in front of me the organizational chart as of May the 1st at least. Many of the individuals I've already been introduced, and the divisions I spoke to in my opening statement, but reporting directly to me under the organizational chart would be the Residential Tenancies Commission, the Automobile Injury Compensation Appeal Commission, and the Public Utilities Board. My Deputy Minister, Joe Dunford, who you've met, and reporting to him from Central Finance is Acting Assistant Deputy Minister Ms. Liebfried. And then going across the divisions within the department, we have Consumer Protection, and underneath that is Entrepreneurship Manitoba and the Public Guardian and Trustee. We have the Procurement Supply Chain, underneath which is the Materials Distribution Agency, and VIMA. We have Digital and Technical Solutions, underneath which is Merlin, or the Manitoba Education Research and Learning Information Network. We also have Asset Management, which is led ably by Suzanne Parent, and I should have mentioned DTS is led by Hong Chun. And then we have Capital Project and Planning and Delivery, which is led by Stephen Spry. And then we have Corporate Administration and Planning. That position is currently vacant, but also included with that is Strategic Initiatives with Assistant Deputy Minister Young.
The honorable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Minister, for that. And also, I see equity and diversity is the main important thing that I have seen in this budget document. And can you please provide me the list of diversity in your recently that you have given the list with women, indigenous people, visible minority, and person with disabilities, please?
The honorable minister.
I thank the member. I would refer him to page 36 of the supplement to the estimates of expenditure, where we describe the various equity groups that are tracked: women, indigenous people, visible minorities, and persons with disability, along with their benchmarks, and then the actual percentage of total employees, at least as of December 31st, 2022, across consumer protection and government services. But I should have a caveat in there that would, at this time, these numbers would include the Department of Labor, or the Division of Labor at that time, because when these documents were prepared, Labor was still joined together with Consumer Protection and Government Services. I hope that's enough specificity. As you can see, there's some areas where we'd like to see an increase. Visible minorities is actually almost double the target, so good news there.
The honorable member for the Maples.
Can the minister probably break those down into executive, management, and individual contributors, please?
The honorable minister.
In the interest of brevity, I think the shortest answer would be no. I cannot provide that particular of a breakdown. We don't track it that way. I should also note that in terms of the stats that are there, it's a voluntary self-identification, so it's not necessarily tracked on every single individual employee.
The honorable member for the Maples.
As minister said, this is a voluntary, and can the minister maybe undertake to provide later on what those numbers are, whatever they are being provided to the minister and the department?
The Honorable Minister.
Yeah, appreciate the question from the member. Just in speaking with my team here, we'll certainly attempt to get that information. If it's available, we'll provide it to the member. If not, we will let him know that it's not and why.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the Minister. Can the Minister give a list of all current vacancies in departments?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you for that question. Certainly, we don't track it on an individual position basis, but I can give you a divisional roll-up. So within corporate administration and planning, there are 8 vacancies, which is 44%. Within capital programs, there is 171.7 vacancies. That's about 30%. Within DTS, Digital Technology Solutions, there is 69 vacancies, about 32%. Within procurement and supply chain, there is 16 and a half vacancies, or about 20%. Within public safety communication services, there are no vacancies, 0%. Within consumer protection, there is 24.7 vacancies, or about 15%, and I will mention that there are no vacancies in the Office of the Registrar General, Public Guardian and Trustee, or Entrepreneurship Manitoba. And that will be the first. We continue to hire. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
So, can the Minister also provide the vacancies in vital stats? What percentage of the vacancies there are?
Sorry.
The Honorable Minister.
I thank the member, and yeah, happy to drill down in that particular division. As he knows, it's receiving considerable attention from myself as the minister, and also from him as the critic. And so happy to report some progress being made there as well. There is an active hiring process underway, and so we actually have a staff member starting next week and one the week thereafter. After those two people have started work, there will be 5 vacancies on 42 total approved FTEs. So that would be an 11.9% vacancy rate. But what I will mention, in addition to that, is that in addition to those full-time staff that we have working, we also have some temporary staff that have been allocated, as well as, so there's 3 of those, as well as 13 full-time step students that have also been brought to bear onto into the division. So that actually brings us to 51 people working full-time at Vital Statistics. So I guess that would put my vacancy rate somewhere around -20, because we actually have more people working in the division than the budget allows.
The honorable member for the Maples.
On this estimate book on page 8, it states that number of employee will only increase by 6. Why is the department not planning on filling those vacancies this year?
The honorable minister.
I thank the member. I hope I'm understanding his line of questioning properly here, but as he's indicated, the budget for 23-24 does have 6 more staff in it in Consumer Protection and Government Services than it did in 22 and 23. Of course, there are vacancies, as we've already seen within that. Efforts are being undertaken to fill those vacancies, and I think, you know, what I just reported from Vital Statistics certainly indicates that that the commitment is there to get those vacancies filled, and I think you can see that reflected in some of the increases in expenditure that are expected as part of this year's budgets.
The honorable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the Minister. And I will like to move on to P3 schools now. In 2018, PC government looked into constructing P3 schools, yet abandoned the idea after finding it would cost taxpayers more. The study found that for same cost as building 4 schools, using P3 models, the province could build 5 schools using traditional method. Yet now the minister has announced they are going to build schools using P3 model despite no evidence that it will be cheaper than the traditional method. Can the minister explain why is his government planning on building schools through a P3 model despite knowing that they will cost taxpayers more?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Chair. Certainly happy to talk about our commitment to building schools. As the member knows, we're building far more schools under this government than had previously been built, and that's my priority. Is I want to ensure that those schools get built and get built quickly, and are high quality. So that's why I'm undertaking this approach, because this is an approach that will get 9 schools built in a matter of just a few years. They're going to be built 2 years ahead of the original commitment made by our government. We're going to build not just the 20 schools that we committed to building, but 23 schools. So 3 additional schools, 2 years sooner. Now that's more than enough reason for me.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
I guess, thank you, Mr. Chair, for that, and the Minister for that explanation, but again, this was not really the answer that I was looking for. I was just to know what has changed since 2018. And we knew through the study that government has done that it will cost taxpayers more. And what has changed since then that we are using P3 models? Other than maybe, as the Minister said, quicker, what other has changed? Like how is it going to be cheaper for the school division to take over?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I think I understand a little better what the member might be getting at. And so he asked what has changed since 2018. I think on any other table, such a question would be met with incredulousness. I'm not sure what the right word is there, but we're going to put that in Hansard and I'll have to spell it. And that's simply because we've gone through a global pandemic. We've gone through incredible disruptions to supply chains. We've seen unprecedented construction inflation, not just on a year-over-year basis, but sometimes, on a month-over-month basis as tenders are put out and then and bids are received, and then as the construction actually proceeds. There are significant challenges caused by the pandemic and disruptive to our supply chains. So one of the benefits of a P3 approach is that it insulates government against those disruptions, and so that would be one way in which the market is different today than it was in 2018. But again, and I would challenge the members' assertions. I think in terms of costs, certainly P3s have been used as a model to construct schools in many other provinces in Canada and elsewhere, and certainly P3 has been used as a model in Manitoba to build some of the best roads that we have here in the city of Winnipeg. All those are hopeful and optimistic things there, I think, that we can take from that. Certainly there's some lessons to be learned from some of these other provincial implementations, and I think the member is well aware of what I might be referring to there. But that's why we're going to ensure that this approach here in Manitoba is going to work well. It's going to insulate Manitoba taxpayers. It's going to insulate children and parents from the uncertainty associated with our supply chain challenges and our construction inflation, and it's going to ensure that we get quality schools built quickly, which is really what we're after.
The Honourable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question still stay the same. Why would any business want to lose money. After they can bid on a contract or after they can build schools, they will want to make sure they are making money. What exactly has changed? Like, how is it the private, like one big company building 7 schools gonna make a difference than the traditional way of building schools with the local private contractors, and where you have probably 7 different contractors compared to one big contract through that. They will be subcontracting to the smaller ones, but again, the contract, the one company that will be bidding on the contract want to make sure they are making money. So how is that protections to the taxpayers of Manitobans?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Yeah, lots to dig into there. So we'll see if I can get if I can remember it all, at least as I get through it here. What I would say first of all is that it's not one company. Typically with P3s, what you have is you have a consortium of companies, often a consortium of local companies that come together and that make the bid. What I would just remind the member too, like the goal here is not just to have a quality school built, but a quality school maintained, and so that there can be certainty that the costs associated with properly maintaining that school are known up front, and that they're well understood and that they're properly funded, contractually funded. I can remember when we first came to government in 2016 as the Progressive Conservative government at the time, we were quite mortified to find how much deferred maintenance existed within all the schools across this province. We had significant projects that had not been done, building envelope, roofing, new boilers, accessibility renovations that were left undone, sometimes for more than a decade, and were greatly overdue. That doesn't happen in a P3 model. In a P3 model, there's a contractual obligation to properly maintain the asset, and to keep it in almost like new condition. You know, it's essentially like a deluxe warranty on a extended warranty on a vehicle, and so certainly we don't want to fall into the member's mathematical issues where maybe he pretends that a school built a traditional way costs less because the NDP never maintained them. I certainly wouldn't want that to be the case. Here we have schools that are going to be properly maintained, that are going to be built by local construction companies for the most part. That's my expectation. That are going to be high quality right from the get-go and throughout the 30-year period. So that's really what we're after. Now, why would companies be interested in this kind of a job? Is the same reason they're interested in any kind of a job, and that is so that they can do some good work and help grow our economy, pay their employees, drive business, drive growth here in this province, ensure that their company can prosper as well. And that's my expectation, is that that's exactly what will happen. And we've seen that evidence firsthand. I think about the companies that built, you know, the P3 roadways that I mentioned. You know, the Disraeli overpass, the Chief Peguis Trail, the Moray Street. These are some of the best roads in Winnipeg, and everybody knows it. And everybody knows that if a pothole does appear on one of these roads, it's typically addressed very quickly and in a way that's permanent in the solve. So those are really what I expect to have happen. And one of the other benefits, I just want to make sure the member understands, when you're dealing with the total cost of ownership, when you're looking at the project over a 30-year period, you make better decisions in that first year. Maybe you invest an extra 10% in a particular building component because it extends the life of that component by 50%. That gives an opportunity for money to be made, and that's the kind of by the company, but that's the kind of savings that just would not happen under a traditional model. So those are just a few of the reasons, I guess, that we're pursuing this model. But I think Manitobans are happy to have a commitment to build not just 20 schools, but 23 schools, so 3 more schools, to have those schools built 2 years ahead of our original commitment of 2029. Now they'll be built by 2027. I know that you know, folks in my community are very excited that Devonshire Park School is going to be part of those extra 9 schools. I know the member for Dawson Trail, he's giving me the big thumbs up here as he looks down the table, because he knows that in his community as well, there's going to be another new school, a high school, built as part of this bundle of 9 schools. And given that there's 9, I assume there's probably 7 other happy MLAs wandering the building. I'm not going to list them all right now, but I'm pretty sure we can agree that building new schools, lots of new schools, is good for Manitoba. It's good for Manitoba students, parents, and our province.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In his response, Minister said it will cost more than traditional way of building schools. So the minister is admitting it, that it will cost more, as he just answered in his my previous question. He answered it.
The honourable minister.
Well, I'll have to check the Hansard, but I'm pretty certain I didn't say that. So maybe it was a misunderstanding. Generally speaking, P3 projects in the long term, when they're looking at the total cost of ownership, a P3 project will cost less than a traditional build that is properly maintained. Now, what I would say to that member is I have seen some suspicious mathematics being espoused by people who are opposed to P3s for political reasons, that are looking at the actual costs of maintaining a school. Under the NDP government, the actual cost of maintaining a school were, of course, minimal because they weren't making the investments. And at the end of the process, you ended up with a school that's crumbling, needs a new roof, needs a new boiler, the elevator's broken, the bricks are falling off the walls. And then to say that building costs less than the P3 school built down the street that has a building that's, or a roof that's going to last another 50 years, that has bricks that'll never fall off, that has an elevator that's going to work without anything other than routine maintenance for another 10 years. I'm not going to compare those two and say that I should only compare them on the basis of how much money was put into them. I don't doubt that a poorly maintained school that didn't receive the treatments, the investments that it needed, would cost less than a properly maintained school. But I can tell you this, Manitoba students, Manitoba parents do not want to send their kids to that. They want to send their kids to well-maintained, properly built schools, and that's exactly what they're going to get with this government.
The honourable member for the Maples.
And maybe minister's response also telling me that in the last 7 years, they haven't really funded the schools properly. Is that correct?
The honourable minister.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I have no idea where the member is going now. And I should, perhaps pause between responses here a little bit more, but I'll just, at least set the record, if not completely straight, at least a little straighter than that. And what I would say is that when we came to government, what did we find? Not just poorly maintained schools, but portables. If the previous government focused on anything, it was building portables. I think the education minister, Nancy Allen at the time, thought that they were great. She thought they were wonderful. And I think, the last I checked, there was over 360 portables in use by the NDP when they were in charge. 360. That holds 9,000 students in portables. So that's not happening anymore under our government. We are building schools. We've already got 14 of them either completed or underway. We're going to get another 9 of them built as part of this schools project. These are significant investments in schools that amount to hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, over the last 5 years, $984 million has been invested in education capital spending. That's 5 years, $984 million, and lest the member think that we're in any way taking our foot off the gas, the projection for the 5 years after that is more than $300 million higher. It is $1.297 billion of investments planned in education capital spending over the next 5 years. That is $1,297 million. So in total, over a 10-year period, our government will have invested more than $2.2 billion in education capital infrastructure. That is far beyond anything the previous government ever did, even when you include all the money they wasted on portables.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess probably we'll just move from that because we can go back and forth on this one. We can even, as I see the minister just walked in, we can go to his quote from 2018, but I'll probably bring that one up later on. Provinces across Canada, such as Alberta, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, are moving away from using P3 model to build schools. Nova Scotia's Auditor General found that P3 school cost $52 million more than standard construction. P3 schools in Regina prohibited teachers from opening their window or decorating their classroom. Alberta canceled their plan to build schools using P3s in December. They have learned their mistake from P3s. Can the minister explain why has the government not learned from mistake of the other provinces?
Now you're doing Smith's favor. The honourable minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd love Hanser to reflect that at last the Minister of Justice has refrained from heckling his own minister and has moved on to the critic, and for that we can be grateful. I expect he'll be headed back my way soon. But nevertheless, the member mentions he doesn't want to go back and forth. I think I agree. I think I want to go forth. And I know that Manitobans do not want to go back. And they don't want to go back to the NDP where they, neglected the needs of students in Manitoba by housing them in portables, making them trundle across frigid parking lots at minus 35 to go to an overcrowded, undersized washroom, and to hope to share a gym if it wasn't closed because the roof was leaking. That's what going back looks like. Going forth looks like what we see happening in the Waverly West neighborhood. Bison Run School, I think I just got recently to visit. Man, is that thing a piece of beautiful work. It is so well put together. It has so many amazing features included in it. It is a extraordinarily high quality school. It's exactly the sort of school that Manitoba parents want. It's exactly the sort of school that that Manitoba students want to go into school in, and it's exactly the sort of schools that will be built as part of this Manitoba Schools project. Now, I am remembering that I think the member was referring to some of the other provinces. I think there's been some successes. There's been some issues. Certainly, we're a government that actually listens. We're a government that learns. I've got within my department a procurement division that I think is quite possibly the finest in the entire country. And I expect that they are going to do a phenomenal job on this particular project. They're going to knock it out of the park, and they're going to make sure that if there were issues in some of these other provinces, that they've learned from those mistakes, that we ensure that these schools are built properly. Now, I will just, before the member might even want to go there, I think I've heard him say, well, if there was mistakes in some P3s, then why would you do them at all? I'll just remind the member that every opportunity to tender a government project has possible challenges associated with it. We've seen examples. You just look at Kiosk, where cost overruns were rampant, and where the way in which that project was tendered and the decision-making processes around it created all kinds of hardships for Manitoba ratepayers and Manitoba taxpayers. Procurement is a science and an art. It has to be done well, and I'm confident that the team within Consumer Protection and Government Services has the ability to do it well. And that's why we're going to proceed. Thank you.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, in his answers, said his department is, or his department is listening. And I just want to know, because earlier they did a study, they didn't listen to that study, whoever did the study, and now they said they're listening. Can the minister explain a little bit more, maybe who he referring to when he said they are listening?
The honourable minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I, if I didn't make it clear enough, I guess in the first response, I can make it a little clearer now. Many of these experts work in my department. They are procurement experts. That's why they're in the procurement division in a position of leadership, not just in our province, but I genuinely believe across the country. And I'm incredibly proud of them and of their abilities. They certainly have, demonstrated their ability to deliver projects for Manitobans, and so when they recommend that that we deliver these 9 schools in this model, then absolutely I'm going to listen to their advice. Now, what I would remind the member of is, some of the other provinces that he might want to talk about, and some of the concerns that were raised in some of these projects is that there's various ways that P3 models can be constructed. I want to make sure the member's aware of how these projects can be constructed. There's a number of acronyms in play. DBFM is the approach that we are taking. That means design, build, finance, maintain. DBFOM is the method that is in use by some of the provinces where there were some issues, and that's an operate and maintain model. We've made it very clear that the schools will be owned publicly, and that the schools will be operated by the school division, exactly the same way as a school built down the street under the traditional model. And so, from a parent's perspective, these schools are going to be amazing. From the student's perspective, these schools are going to be amazing. From the school division's perspective, these schools are going to be amazing, and they're going to be built before the enrollment pressure reaches the breaking point, not after 9,000 students are stuck in 361 portables across our province. That's the way the NDP did it. We're not doing it that way. And if you take a look at the beautiful schools coming up in the Waverley West Division, you take a look at the beautiful schools happening in Winnipeg North, take a look at the schools planned in the Brandon area. All of these schools are addressing enrollment pressures that have not yet reached critical mass, and they're going to be built ready to receive these students. That's what planning, good planning, proper execution can get you. I know the member might not be familiar with that. He certainly is not going to get that from the NDP Education Minister, Nancy Allen. After all, she thought the portables were a wonderful, wonderful solution to the problem facing Manitoba students.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. Minister also said, I'm agree, 110%. There's lots of good people in the department that are doing good work on behalf of Manitoba ratepayers. And but my question still go back to 2018. So what was the reason of doing the study in 2018, spending taxpayers' money when we know we have a great mind sitting in the department?
I see where you're going there.
The honourable minister.
I thank the member, and I guess we're right back to the back and forth where he wants to take us back. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. We want to move forward, and moving forward is what we're going to do. Moving forward with this project is going to deliver 9 high-quality schools in our province. That's going to happen in relatively short order. Under the NDP, I talked to a number of school trustees, and they told me it was routine that between when a school would have an approval from the NDP provincial government to when they actually could get students in the building, 8 years, 9 years, took forever. Part of the mandate given to these highly talented staff, and I do thank the member for acknowledging the amazing technical staff that we have working in that division. Certainly cannot say enough good things about them, and I'm glad the member agrees. But when they make a recommendation based on the project parameters that have been given to them to build 9 schools, not just 4 or 5, to build high quality schools, to build schools that'll be maintained for decades in a high quality state, and also to be built in this post-pandemic environment where there's a lot of uncertainty. I trust their expertise, and I think the members should too.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Even though Minister didn't really answer what had changed or what was why the study was done in 2018, but I'd like to move to a different question. Can the minister provide details on the proposed deal to build schools using P3 model? Build the province, own the school.
The honourable minister.
Yes, the province will own the schools.
The honourable member for the Maples.
How much it will cost the taxpayers?
The honourable minister.
Thank you, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I suppose if the member, woke up one day and found $600,000 sitting in his bank account, and along with a note from the family to say, please use the $600,000 to build a house, I would recommend strongly to him that he not share that figure with the people doing the building. And tell them exactly how much he has to spend, as much as those contractors, as much as those car salesmen and house salesmen, might want to know exactly how much you have to spend when you show up at their business. And so, I don't want to suggest that the member is not ready in any way to be in government. If he's asking questions like that, that wouldn't necessarily be charitable of me. But I will say that that certainly we understand in government that it's best to let the tendering process and the competitive process drive the price, and not put out figures that might suggest that we're willing to pay more than we would otherwise have to.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sure Minister and the department have those numbers, that how much it will gonna cost the taxpayers. I'm sure they have studied those numbers. Is there any study done to see where about those numbers will be? Just internal part only. They have done any study on that one though?
The Honorable Minister.
Yeah, I thank the member, and but I'm certain that that we will know what the price of the project is after it's been awarded. But saying it before is kind of like the Minister of Justice was just telling us about his wife's engagement ring. You know, he made the mistake of entering the jewelry shop and saying he could spend up to $3,000, and out came the recommendation for a $3,000 engagement ring, which is probably twice what I paid for my wife's engagement ring. I'm ashamed to say, but I told my wife
Order.
she could spend up to
Order here, guys.
5,000. In any case, I think I hope the member can see why it's important to allow the process to drive the price and to not provide a sense even of what the price range might be, because of the impact that might have on the tendering process. We want to ensure that we're getting good value for taxpayers. And once again, I'm not an expert in procurement yet, but I know that people in my department are, and so I trust their advice on that as well.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
So, Minister said earlier that they won't be using a single vendor. Is that correct?
The Honorable Member, the Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Certainly it's the creativity of Manitobans is, I think, boundless, and I expect that will come to bear in this process as well. The door is certainly open, and the expectation, based on what we see happening in other provinces, is that a consortium, or actually multiple consortiums, will likely form. And those consortiums will together put together a bid to a proposal to deliver the 9 schools, and that's my expectation of what's going to happen this time as well. So it's not really fair, I think, to talk about a single vendor as if there's one company that's fronting the whole thing. It will be a bid most likely put together by a consortium of companies. Many of those companies I expect to be local right here in Manitoba.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We know like P3 schools in Regina prohibited teachers from opening their window or decorating their classroom. Will the teacher be allowed to open the window and decorate their classrooms?
The Honorable Minister.
I should know already if the member has kids in school in Manitoba, but I'm sorry, I don't necessarily know that off the top of my head. But I certainly do. You have one good. I've got the indication there's one student. So you may have seen from time to time art on display, paper art often. Maybe in the hallways of the school or in the classrooms of the school, or if not there, then certainly on your fridge at home. But what I would say is when art is on display in the classroom and in the school, there is a limit, and that limit's actually part of fire code. I think it's around 20% here in Manitoba. But certainly, you don't want a lot of flammable substances on the walls of a school. You want to make sure that you're taking reasonable precautions there. So I would certainly expect Manitobans to follow fire code when it comes to putting things on the walls, and ensuring that that's the case. I know that the school that my kids went to, they got a visit from the fire commissioner, and we're told that they had a little bit too much up on the walls and had to take some down, and they got a little too enthusiastic with their artwork, and that does happen from time to time. So we certainly need to make sure that that fire code and building codes are followed. And so I just want to preface my response with that. What I would do is I would just remind the member that these schools are publicly owned, and that they're going to be operated by the school division. So if the design of the school includes windows that are not openable, I guess you can't open them. But if they are operable windows so that they can be opened, yes, they will be able to open them.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think Minister already said the school division will have the control over the school. Is that correct?
The honourable minister.
Yeah, I thank the member for the question. I think I've made it clear that the school divisions will be able to operate these schools the same way they operate other schools. But when it comes to major maintenance that needs to get done on the school, roof replacements, for example, well, that's the responsibility of the Project Co, as it's called, or the consortium. And so what I think would be different than the way that traditional schools are managed under the NDP is that when the school building needs a new roof, they'll get one, not 10 years later. When they need a new boiler, they'll get one, not 10 years later, but when they need it is when they'll get it. The school will be properly maintained, and that's one of the key benefits of this approach.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Will all the schools be identical, or they will have a similar design for all the schools? I want to move.
The Honorable Minister.
I'm happy to report that the answer to the question is no, but I'll give a little bit more information to the member beyond that. For starters, if you look closely at the schools that are part of the 9 Schools project, there's some are grade 9s through 12 schools with industrial arts sections and the like. Some are K to 8, and I think there's also a K to 12, a couple of K to 12s in the list as well. So I would assure the member that certainly those 3 design profiles will not be identical, nor should they be. But when you're talking about, for example, I'll use a K to 8 school. That's what's going to get built, in my neighborhood as part of the new development north of Costco. That's going to be a K to 8 school, and I would expect that that a lot of the design elements in that school and the way it's built will be similar to the other K to 8 schools in the bundle. But there will be an opportunity for school divisions and the parents in those school divisions to kind of indicate some of the priorities that they might have, the local priorities they might have, and some of the particular aspects of the design that they might want to see reflected. That opportunity will be there. Of course, it's limited because we're going to be building. I mean, fundamentally, what do you need? You need classrooms. You need gymnasiums. I don't think there's any reason for one K to 8 gymnasium to be 10 feet longer than the other K to 8 gymnasium. I expect they'd all be the same. And so, yeah, I think the answer to the question is no, they are not going to be identical. But largely the same when it comes to the same programming needs, K to 8, K to 12, and 9 through 12.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so K to 8, the schools that are being be built, they will be similar in design. And grade 9 to 12 will be similar in design. Is that correct?
The Honorable Minister.
You just introduced me, so it's okay. Yeah, I'd expect that the designs would be similar, but not identical, because the program needs are similar, but not identical.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When will the contract be signed?
The Honorable Minister.
Happy to inform the member that that the contract will be signed when the tendering and negotiation processes are complete.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When that will be done then?
The Honorable Minister.
Certainly, I wouldn't want to rush that process, but at the same time, we don't want it to drag on. So we're going to ensure that the process is done well. We want to make sure that that all the necessary steps are followed and the negotiations are done properly, and that the team of technical experts within the procurement division are satisfied that they're moving things forward, that they're comfortable with. So when all that is done, that's when it will be signed. The intent is to have these schools open in 2027.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have some more question about the PC government's uses of P3s. A recent request for proposal posted by the department stated that the government of Manitoba was looking to pre-qualify supplier to provide engineering and architectural services to buying group, which consists of Manitoba Health Organizations, MBLL, MHRC, Manitoba Hydro, the government as a whole, and MPI. Can the minister explain what project his department is looking at using P3 model for?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I'm got to tell you that I've been chatting with my folks here on the side, and we're not really sure what the member is exactly referring to. So I would ask for two things. I would ask that he repeat the question, and then if he does have a copy of the document he was referring to, and the parts that he's quoting, if he could share that with me so I could hand it to my technical staff so they at least know which document in particular we're referring to. It's a big department. There's lots going on.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is related to procurement on page 21.
Order. If you guys have something to discuss, please take it to the back of the room so you wouldn't disturb people at the front. The Honorable Minister.
I thank the member for the clarity of the page number. I'm looking at the page number, and I remember him saying the words hydro and MPI, and I'm not seeing that on the page. So if he could explain, I guess, which page he's referring to specifically, or which program, or which paragraph, and just to make sure I'm actually understanding the question, because I'm not really seeing what he's talking about and how that would apply to things like hydro and MPI.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I guess probably I'll get back to the minister on this one because I'm also looking at that page and I didn't see it either, so I'm gonna just get it. Maybe just gonna go to battle stats from here. So just earlier, I think my question was, what was the vacancy rate was at the vital stats? Can the minister also provide what was the vacancy rate for the last 5 years in vital stats? Last 5 years.
The Honorable Minister.
Yeah, I thank the member for that question. 5 years worth of vacancy information I do not have, but I do have the last 8 months or so. And so we have during that time had a vacancy rate that went as high as 40%, as the member likely knows, just as I entered the role as minister of this department. Certainly, I think you can see the results of my focus on this department in terms of what happened with the vacancy rate soon after that, as in March the vacancy rate declined from 40 to 32.5. In April it declined to 19. In May it's at 11.9. And on top of that, as I indicated, there's so many temporary and full-time students, step students on staff, that the vacancy rate is actually a negative number, I guess, because there's 20% more staff than there are FTEs approved in the budget, as we have 51 full-time staff and a 42 full-time equivalent budget complement. So certainly we've been headed in the right direction, and I would say have completely turned around the issues that were being caused by an unacceptably high vacancy rate within that department.
The honorable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the Minister. And I was just wondering, like, Minister have the numbers for the last 8 months, but doesn't have the numbers for, like, say, not 5 years, 2 years, 3 years?
The honorable minister.
Thank the member, I did provide the 8 months of vacancy information, and I think, as I indicated to him earlier, we're a government that wants to move forward and not not look too far backwards, other than learning from the mistakes of maybe previous governments or other governments, sometimes our own, but less often. What I will say is that I'm incredibly proud of the work of the folks that do work in vital statistics, and also the cooperation that I've got to witness firsthand. We've got all reporting up to me, I guess, in various ways. I have vital statistics reporting to me, but I also have digital and technological services, and they're helping, and then also, of course, the Public Service Commission through a different deputy reporting to me as well, and they've been brought to bear to really ensure that we address the vacancies and the contribution that those vacancies had to the service levels being delivered by Vital Statistics. The member knows that what's happening in the Vital Statistics branch has my attention, and has the attention of my staff and my deputy correspondingly, and so that's certainly where our focus is. It's on moving forward, and I'll just remind the member, like, we've essentially gotten this vacancy rate down to 11.9% at this time, effectively at -20 when you include the temporary staff and the students that have been brought to bear. And this is at a time when across Canada, in every jurisdiction, there have been staffing challenges. There are high vacancy rates affecting not just government, but many industries as well, where restaurants have been forced to change their hours, and hotels have been shuttering floors, and construction businesses are unable to bid on contracts because they just can't find enough workers. So I think on that backdrop, to look at the accomplishments of my department, and both in CPGS here and in the Public Service Commission, to take a department like Vital Statistics, and to take it from having a 40% vacancy rate to essentially a negative 20% vacancy rate in a matter of 3 months. That's a tremendous accomplishment. I'm incredibly proud of them. I'm very pleased to see the work that they did bear fruit, and I'm encouraged as I look out on the future, that we're going to ensure that Vital Statistics delivers world-class service to all Manitobans, especially with all these staff now helping and being brought to bear.
The honorable member for the Maples.
This is on the estimate book, budget, and on page 25, it said VSB partnered with the Manitoba government inquiry to answer inbound telephone calls. This has been always the case, or this is something new?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, and I'll make it up to the member for taking a few minutes there to answer the question by giving him, maybe three responses to previous questions that we left unanswered earlier today. But first, I'm going to deal with the question he just asked, which is around the use of the Manitoba Government Inquiries line as a way to help with inbound calls to Vital Statistics. So that practice began on November the 15th. 2021, which is pretty much right in the heart of the pandemic, and it was done as a way to address some of the staffing challenges that had already appeared within Vital Statistics at that time that were making it challenging to deliver the services in the way that we want to be delivering them. The intent is to now that we have a full staff complement, certainly we're bringing them to bear. And in clearing the backlog and improving response times and wait times for birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate, both the registration and the issuance of a certificate. All those are in scope for us. And as that is improved, the expectation is that the assistance of MGI for inbound calls will also revert back into Vital Statistics. We do have positions available to do that work, and our hope is that we'll be able to bring that back into Vital Statistics, as we address the backlog. Now, I did promise a couple extra answers for the members, so I did find the vacancy rate as of a year and a little bit ago, so as of March the 25th in 2022, so that is 13 and a half months ago, the vacancy rate within Vital Statistics was 39.5%. So that's some information that I'm sure the member would be happy to receive. And then if we recall back earlier in the afternoon when we were talking about equity and diversity benchmarks, and if I had that by senior management. So I do have my staff been working on getting the executive level breakdown. So for the executive level breakdown, and that would be deputy ministers, assistant deputy ministers, executive directors, and directors that provide leadership to contribute to the strategic direction of the organization. There are 34 people in those positions. And as you can perhaps guess based on who's sitting beside me at the table here, more than 50% of them are women. Specifically 52.9% are women. 2.9% are Indigenous, 5.9% are persons with disabilities, and 17.6% are visible minorities. So I was able to get that information. I hope that's useful to the member, and look forward to continuing to answer questions for many, many hours more.
Member from the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that information to the minister. And so when people call a government inquiry line, how long they are usually on hold before the call is being answered?
Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nice to have you in the chair. I thank the member for the question. I don't have the specific number of minutes spent waiting, but what I would counsel Manitobans and this member both is to say, we're aware that there are processing challenges, that that it's taking longer than we would like to process certificate applications and to process birth registrations. I think, many Manitobans I speak with, they understand that, and so they're patient. Others are eager to try to accelerate the process, and they think that maybe phoning will help accelerate that. I would just caution them, my expectation is, and I made that clear to the department, is that these applications are going to be processed in shorter and shorter timeframes, that they're going to be processed in such a way that improves our client experience. And that part of that is that if there is an error or a concern with a registration, birth registration, or with an application for a certificate, that we reach out to them. And so my advice, I think, to Manitobans would be to ensure that that they've got a phone number on their application forms and on their registration information that's live, and that the staff at Vital Statistics can get a hold of them if they need to work out any particular details or errors or issues with questions that they might have about either the birth registration or the certificate application that they've completed. I think that's where Manitobans are going to get the best service. I think encouraging a whole bunch of them to phone Vital Statistics is, in the end of the day, is not necessarily going to be providing any assistance to them or to the department, and maybe it may only end up increasing frustration. So we don't want that to happen.
The honourable member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And can the minister provide the turnaround time once the call is received and person have requested the document or inquiry regarding some documents? What is the turnaround time? Once they got the call, send it to Vital Stats, how long it takes the Vital Stats to respond back?
The Honorable Minister.
I thank the member for the question, and I thank him for his patience as we try to get that answer from directly from the staff that work over at Vital Statistics. So getting it hot off the presses, since I didn't have that information at my fingertips. Just so you understand the process, when the phone call goes into MGI, Manitoba Government Inquiries line, then they log that on a spreadsheet and essentially send that spreadsheet over to Vital Statistics to process. They're currently backlogged as well on returning calls. So it's typically taking about a week, sometimes a little longer than that, before the call is returned. Unacceptably long, in my opinion. And the hope is to get to the point where we're getting certificates, birth registered certificates issued in a much more timely basis.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And earlier, actually, I asked the question how long people are on hold when they call the Manitoba government inquiries. One minister can provide those numbers, but the other one can't. Why is that? Minister of Advanced Education can provide those numbers, but the Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services can't. What's the difference?
The Honorable Minister.
I thank the member for the question. Yeah, I can only speak for what my department here is responsible for, and perhaps the Minister of Advanced Education has a dedicated line or better reporting statistics, or maybe she's just better at her job. It's all good. But I'll just say that I don't have the number for how long they are to wait. But I'll reiterate what I said in the previous response, right, which is that inbound calls are probably not the most effective way to move things along when it comes to moving forward issues. What I do encourage individuals to do is maybe reach out to their MLA. I believe the member opposite has probably had some people reach out to him where they have a particular need, for example, related to immigration or to travel or something where a certificate is needed sooner than perhaps the ordinary processes are able to deliver. And certainly when that happens, when it comes to my office from another MLA, no matter what party stripe, I don't hesitate to give that pass that along to my team to see if people who are in particular circumstances where the delay is causing undue hardship, that they're able to still get what they need when they need it. But for the most part, I guess my ask of Manitobans is that they be patient as we continue to staff up, which we have done, and then to work on the backlog, which we are doing.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so Minister is telling the public to call the MLA so they can get their birth certificate, marriage certificate, or death certificate sooner. That's what the Minister is saying.
The Honorable Minister.
Well, the member certainly doesn't have a history of twisting my words too often, but this time I think he's guilty. What I would say is that when there are exceptional needs, if there's a particular need where, as I indicated, immigration or passport or another dependent need, that it causes undue hardship for the person to simply be patient and allow the process to play out. And that's why I encourage them to contact their MLA, because their MLA should be able to interact with that individual and assess, if that need is real, or if it's simply just a matter that they would really like to get it quickly, but they don't have any necessarily more compelling reason to request it than most other Manitobans would. In those exceptional circumstances, and I think to date, I certainly have not heard of any MLAs that have abused that opportunity. I think most MLAs understand that such escalations should be used judiciously and rarely, and only under those circumstances are we able to move forward in a responsible way. Clearly, if I got thousands of requests to accelerate the delivery of birth certificates, well, that would only further delay and distract, I think, from the good work that's happening to ensure that our processes are improved, that the birth certificate registrations, applications, marriage certificate registrations and applications, and death certificate registration and applications are happening as efficiently as possible and as accurately as possible, and in time as quickly as possible.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure whoever called the Manitoba government inquiries, they always do it whenever those people need it. They are in some kind of, they need a document to travel or something. They need a new passport for their kids. And maybe I'm gonna just ask, like, if the minister can provide us they can break down by the type of documents, like but numbers, like hundreds, thousands, like death certificate, birth certificate, marriage certificate, if the minister can give us the list by breaking those numbers down.
The Honorable Minister.
Yeah, I thank the member. My department staff are reminding me also that we do have an opportunity to apply for a rush issuance of a certificate. And so once the event is registered, the birth or the marriage, for example, is registered, and if a rush certificate is applied for, that rush certificate is delivered within about 3 days of the registration of the event. And certainly that, I think the member would agree that 3 days between a registration and a birth certificate is good turnaround time. The amount of time that it takes to register the event, though, is, I think, where he and I probably share the concern, is that, for marriages, for example, that's a nice, quick, you get married 1 week and your marriage is registered the next week, and there's no backlog in that regard. But with births, it's not like that. With a birth, the registration form is being filled out typically in the healthcare facility, and then that form is passed along to or sent into Vital Statistics. But that's where one of the key backlogs or parts of the backlog that we're focused on is, and that's taking certainly longer than the 3 days.
The Honorable Member for the Maples.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think my question was, can the minister provide those document by the numbers? What is the waiting list? Like there's thousands people are waiting, 500 people are waiting, 700 people are waiting in each document type.
The Honorable Minister.
Yeah, I thank the member, very much for his question. I appreciate what he's trying to get at. Probably good to set the background though first to understand, how much processing is happening at Vital Statistics on a week by week or a year by year basis, right? And so on a year by year basis, it's probably about 125,000 events are occurring, right? So quick math between myself and the member would tell you that means, on an average week, there's 2,000 to 2,500 events that are having to be processed in that week. That's assuming zero backlog, and or assuming that an application that's made one week is processed within that week, and so that's in the thousands already just because of the volume.
The hour being 5 p.m., committee rise.